Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike at Filmboy24. Today it's time for, wait for it, Found Film round number 42. Now what that means, if you don't know numbers, is this is the try to get my numbers right, 42nd time on my channel that I've found an old roll of film, or in this case 3 old rolls of film that were previously shot many, many years ago, presumably. I process it, I scan it, and I bring it to you. Yeah, I know it's been a long time since I've posted a video. I always used to try to do it, once or twice a week, but, lately I've been, sort of doing some soul searching and finding myself and digging deep. Oh, no, I haven't. I've just been busy. It's been very busy for me lately, so it's kind of slowed my channel content down a little bit, but I'm trying to kick it back up a notch. No, there's no K in front of notch. So I'm here now. So settle down. I'm here. I'm here now, and we got some found film. So what we actually have today, it's a little different than what we usually do. We usually have a roll of film. If you're new to my channel, basically, found film, for me anyway, is a roll of film, Super 8 usually, but lately I've been getting into the 16mm magazine stuff the last year or two, finding it and seeing what's on it, but it's an old roll of film that it's been sitting in someone's camera or in a camera bag or in an attic or garage or basement for many, many years, 40, 50, 60, sometimes 70 or 80 years, and it was shot that many years ago, at least we think, and for whatever reason, it was never processed and never enjoyed by the original family. Now, 95% of all of my found film stuff, we don't know who shot it. We usually don't even know where it came from outside of maybe an auction or estate sale or something like that. So this is a little bit different than finding a processed reel of 16 or 8mm or Super 8 film in an antique store and taking it home and watching the little family open their presents on Christmas and stuff, because typically that film's already been viewed by the family, and now the grandparents are deceased or the parents are deceased, and the kids, they watch it, they maybe got it transferred, and now they're ready to get rid of it. That's usually the case when you find an old roll of film that has already been processed. Well, with us being me, I like to find this film that's never been processed. And it's a little strange, me being the only one that's ever seen that roll of film until now. So what we have today, now that I'm done, is I typically show one roll of film. There's a lot of cases where either I get a roll of film that's not sealed, not in the box, and it's maybe partially shot, and I'll finish the rest of the roll off and then process it, and I find out there's only 5 or 10 seconds of film that was shot years ago. Or there's cases where I'll find a roll of film, or I'll get a roll of film, and I process it, and it just doesn't come out very good. There might be, 20 or 30 seconds of it that's kind of viewable, or maybe too much reticulation or too much green, or it just didn't work. So what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of go over a little bit of that, and I'm going to show you some of the films that I couldn't show you the whole film for one reason or another. First, very quick, let's go over what I have for you today. This roll here was sent to me, I'm thinking, about 1.5 years ago from my buddy Ivan in Los Angeles, California, and it was in a camera that he bought. In fact, he wrote on the front of it, it was in a Canon 814 that he bought, and it was fully exposed. So he sent it to me. I have a couple people that have sent me films fairly regularly. My buddy Randy sends me film relatively regularly. I'm still working on that, Randy. So I processed this. This roll of film here was sent by a friend of mine in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know if you remember, but I did a little series of videos, I don't know, about 1.5 years ago, using some 35mm movie film in my SLR. Well, he sent me all that movie film, and he sent me some other things along with it. He's actually sent me a camera about 1 year ago, and by the way, I did put batteries in that and was able to get it running. But he sent me a couple rolls of Super 8 film, that one was completely exposed and one was partially exposed. I haven't messed with the partial one yet. This was the completely exposed one. Now, I'm being honest with you right now. This is a focal, which I believe was Kmart, a focal Super 8 film. It is a Process EM25. It's a 40 speed film, 40 ASA back then, type A, which was an indoor film. So I'm thinking it's similar to the Ektachrome, early Ektachrome, slow speed Ektachrome, not like the 160 or even the 100D now. So I experimented with a roll of this that I had previous, and I could get no images out of it. I tried C41, ECN2, I tried E6, I tried black and white, I got nothing. So I was ready. That's why this one's been sitting for so long. A year and a half? Yeah. But I decided to give it a shot, and I did get images out of it this time. So I think the other roll was just junk. What we got with this one is, and the reason it's included in this is about half of it is a little wonky, really dark or just all over the place, and it kind of gets you sick watching it if you get motion sick like I do. And something else I found out about this roll, it was shot at, I believe, 12 frames per second, which is extremely unusual for Super 8. Typically back in the 70s and 80s, it was 18 frames per second, sometimes 24. I was a 24 person. But this one was around 12 frames per second. So this cartridge, when it was done and processed and scanned, ran for about 5 minutes long. Well, I've cut that down to about 2 minutes. So you're going to see about 2 minutes of this, you're going to see about 30 seconds of this, and you're going to see about 30 seconds of this. Now, what do we have here? This was a roll of film. It was Kodachrome, very old Kodachrome, that was sent to me also last year, and I'll explain to you why I haven't done it yet. It was sent to me last year by a wonderful lady in Newcastleton, United Kingdom. She had this roll of film. She said, I'm just going to toss it unless you want it. If you want it, it's fully exposed. It had the 0 in the counter. If you want it, I'll send it to you. I said, well, yeah, duh. To myself, I said that, not to her, because she sent it to me. Anyway, I got it. I pulled it. I did a couple of snip tests. I did some practice with it. I got nothing out of it. And by the way, the cartridge was like brand new. I think this may have been a first run cart too. So I got nothing from it. So that's why I just shelved it for a while. See, I have a really hard time getting rid of a roll of film that was exposed many, many years ago. Just because my little strip tests, my little strip of film tests, didn't give me any results right away. So I shelved it. I've had this for a little over a year now, and just a couple weeks ago, I decided to try it again. Let's give it one more shot. Only this time, I actually didn't do a strip test. I just loaded it and I processed it. And I did it for about 3 minutes in HC110B formula at about 67 degrees Fahrenheit. That's also what I did with this one, this focal film. And this one, I just did my normal 7 minutes. Well, I got images out of all of them. This one in particular, terrible images, but very faint, and there's off and on images. Most of this was shot, extremely fogged. There's a lot of grain, but I'm going to show you, you settle down. But I am going to show you what I got with it. So that's why we're combining all three. By the way, my voice, I'm sorry, I may sound a little hoarse. Or a pony. I've had some issues lately with my throat. I think it's allergies. We're in the allergy season where I live now. So pardon me if I sound a little hoarse or a Shetland. Really? So what? I am such a dork. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you these films. Now I'm going to show them nonstop. And if I'm being honest, I haven't seen what it's going to look like yet when I marry it to this particular digital video that I'm shooting, so bear with me. This one's at 12 frames per second, this one's at 16, and this one's at 18. So bear with me usually. And by the way, this one's at 24 that you're watching right now. So with 4 different frame rates, I don't know, give me a little leeway on it. I added a little contrast here and there to them. And I'll put a little something. I don't know yet, but I'll let you know which one is which. We'll probably start out with this one right here. We'll jump into the 16 millimeter, and then we'll finish it off with this focal film. Without too much more of this, why don't we take a look at what we got? And we'll be right back and talk about it. Here they are. So good for allergies. Anyway, so there's the 3 films. Now you kind of see why I made one episode out of these 3. I'm going to probably do this from time to time because I got to tell you, I still have probably at least a couple hundred found films, different formats that I haven't processed yet. A lot of them are partial rolls, so we'll get to them. I'll finish them up in a camera or something, and then we'll process them, and then we'll just, we'll chop them all up and put them together. We'll make a nice stir fry out of them. So we clearly know what some of this is. This was, the first one you saw was camping. It looked like camping to me anyway, in the mountains, maybe probably out west in the U.S. somewhere. Camping, some neat mountain footage, and then a couple of girls looked like maybe in a store or something, maybe a house. I couldn't really tell, but kind of interesting. The rest of the film was bleh, not good. Didn't really come out, so we gave you what we had. The 16mm, like I said, extremely faint. Hard to make out much of anything, but I did show you some cars. You saw cars driving by, and I think you could vaguely make out a person in front of a building or something like that. So, like I say, that's what I get a lot of times with old Kodachrome. And then finally, this was the 12 frames per second. I think this one came out probably the best. Maybe it's a toss-up, but clearly it appears to be Christmas dinner or Christmas Eve dinner, and some horsing around and some snow and some upside downness like that. Having fun nonetheless. And we're getting close to the holidays, so right in line with what's going on. What's going on? And one last thing I want to bring up. If you have an old roll of film that was shot, presumably, I love that word, many, many years ago, and you just don't want it to end up in the garbage or the bin or the landfill, get a hold of me. My email address is in the About page there on YouTube. And you can send it to me, and I will not charge anything, and I'll process it as long as, and I'll show it as long as we get some images and they're not wildly inappropriate. But let me first say something here that it confused a few people. By that, I don't mean send me your film that you shot. If you have an old roll of film and you want to test out a camera and you put this old roll of film in your camera and you shoot your kids running around the yard, I can process it for you and scan it for you and send you the result, but I have to charge you for it. I charge less than anyone for that service, but I don't do that for free. The only thing I really do for free, and I don't return the film, is found film. So if you bought a camera and there's an old roll of film inside it or in the bag and it's exposed, or at least mostly exposed, contact me and let's see if we can figure out what's on it. Because I don't want it to go away. I don't want it to get thrown away, and it's a memory that maybe we could find out whose it was. Maybe. I'm relatively small-minded. You thought I was going to say smart. If you like this video, can you do me a favor, just on the way out, just as you skate on out of this video, hit that and do that if you think I've earned that. I've at least earned a like, or you can dislike it if you want. If you really don't like it, it's all the same to me. It's just some interaction. Helps the algorithm. And until the very next time that we do something like this, or, well, something else film related. Here it goes. You see it? That was weird. I'll see all of your shining, beautiful faces on the very next go around.